I'm going to stop trying to introduce him and just bring him up on the stage because Henry Invisible is awesome and he's got a great thing to share.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Henry.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I want to say hello to everybody real quick and just, if everybody can just get up for just a second, just out of their chair just for a minute and put your hands up, just stretch it out just a little bit. Let's go, let's go. Yes, all right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How's everybody feeling today? Yeah, you feeling great? Awesome. Listen, I just wanted to do, you guys can sit down. We're gonna do some aerobics today. My name is Henry, and I go by Henry Invisible, the one-man funk band based out of Austin, Texas, and I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I call myself a musician. I definitely play and create magic with music, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to get right through all the nitty-gritty of how I became a one-man band, and then I just want to talk about invisibility as a superpower, as a wonderful thing to encompass. So real quick, I wasn't always a one-man band. I was definitely in bands. I was in bands size of 13 pieces growing up, and but let's go way back. All right. First of all, good morning. Thank you very much for being here. I know you could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here. And quite honestly, I was a little bit nervous about today. I perform at festivals, thousands of people, but this is more nerve-wracking to me because you guys are all ears and listening. But it goes like this. So when I was a kid, I started banging on pots and pans at pretty much a young age. And growing up, my father had a wonderful album collection. Sly and the Family Stone, Santana, Rolling Stones, Beatles, James Brown, you name it, and we had it. And I was listening to all of that good stuff. I used to think John Lennon was part of the family, actually. And when he passed away, I was crying as if he were an uncle, and I had no idea what was going on. And but basically, he had a guitar in our house, and I used to rush home every day after school, and I would practice the guitar. And so much that I would practice with a window open. One morning, my neighbor came from across the street, and he knocked on the door, and he told my pops. And I was a little bit frightened by it. Not that he would get upset, because he certainly wouldn't. My father is extremely supportive. We still go on the road today, actually. We travel the country together. So shout out to Pops. Yeah. Anyways, the neighbor said, your kid is practicing guitar incessantly every day after school. I don't know if you know about this. So my dad said, is that true? And I said, it sure is. So the very next weekend, we were living in Dallas. We marched into an Arnold and Morgan music store, and I got my first electric guitar at the age of 10. So I was 10 years old, and I was very excited to be playing guitar, and I looked for the one that looked exactly like Angus Young's from AC/DC, because I was really into rock and roll at that time. Didn't get the Gibson SG, but got the Yamaha SG. That was good. That was good to go. At the very same time, I was also playing alto sax in the band, and in the concert band. So music was becoming a part of my everyday life. I was definitely loving it, and I was realizing how much fun I was having doing it. As I went on to high school, there were too many sax players, so they wanted me to join percussion. And I said, cool. So I started playing the tritoms, the cymbals, the snare when nobody was looking, the bass drum, the timpanis, the auxiliary percussion. From there, I met some other musical friends, and we started a funk, punk, rock band. And my first gig was on 6th Street at the age of 16, playing at the Black Cat Lounge. Shouldn't have been in there because, drinking and all that stuff. So as soon as we were done, we had to leave out the back. And, but that group actually took me all across the world. And I did some amazing things at a pretty young age. I got to open up for Tito Puente. at the 96 Olympics. Got to play with all of my heroes pretty much. George Clinton, Tower of Power, Maceo Parker. Gosh, there were so many people that I got to meet. And so I realized that music was now deeply rooted in my life. And shortly after this band really took off, we had a good run for about 5 or 6 years. We ran into some management trouble, as every band does. And I ran away to New York to become invisible. I went to New York to basically kind of hide in the crowd and hone in on my craft. While I was there were tons of guitar players in New York, so I picked up the bass. And I started getting a lot of bass gigs, as well as piano. And I started getting some piano gigs. So at this point, I've got a couple of instruments under my belt, and it's collecting. I never thought, if you had asked me over 10 years ago if I would be doing what I'm doing today, I would definitely not have said yes. So what happened was, after New York City, I came back to Texas because my father lived here, and actually my family lives here, but my father and I are very close. And I decided to move back because as time goes on, you know, you realize that you want to be closer to family. It was the best decision I ever made. When I came back, a couple of my band members from a fuzzy rock trio called Starchild moved down, and we were playing around town and that kind of thing. Well, that band broke up too. And I'm talking a trio at this point, right? We're talking 2 other guys, you know? And the band broke up. So at this point, I've got a few gigs booked. I have 6 gigs still booked. And I had acquired a loop pedal from a sponsorship, and it had sat on my mantle for about 2 years. Never touched it. Well, one day I decided to unbox it, and I showed up to one of the gigs that was previously booked, and the booking agent was like, "What's going on? Where's the band?" And I said, "Well, you know, I had to break up the band, and if you don't mind, I'm going to do a couple of loop songs this evening." And he said, "Well, you might as well because you're the only act that you didn't cancel. So you might as well get on stage and go perform for about 3 hours, right?" It wasn't the best gig of my life, I'll say that, by any means. It was sloppy, and I was going for it. But that night, I must have written probably about 6 or 7 songs on the spot. So I realized this was kind of a thing that I was going to do. And let me tell you something. The very first loop show I ever did was a water jug, an acoustic guitar, and a bass guitar. That was it. Slowly I started saying, okay, well, I'm going to make this a little better. So I've got to get a percussion pad, I've got to get some keyboards, I have to make this more exciting. I'm going to start wearing silver glitter jackets. I'm going to start getting very creative with this thing. And suddenly, I was becoming less invisible, right? But my band was invisible. So the very first incarnation of this band was called Henry plus the Invisibles, because I was the one-man band, which now I call myself Henry Invisible. And I'll get to that in a second. But what I wanted to say about this was that you never know what's going to happen in life. You have no idea what can possibly happen unless you just keep going forward. And that's one of the points I want to make today, because I cannot believe what's going on now. It's amazing. I'm going to be announcing some pretty big news at the beginning of the year, but basically I'll just say that one of my superheroes, Bootsy Collins from Parliament Funkadelic, found me on Instagram, and I auditioned for his group, and so I'm going to be releasing music with his label, and I was on his last record and all this. I would never have guessed that would happen in a million years. But you just never know. So you just keep on going. Now I want to talk a little bit about being invisible. Because being invisible is an amazing thing. I talk about music quite often to myself. Not really in groups, I just perform it, you know. Although when I was a kid, I used to sit with a tape recorder and pretend I was on the late night shows and stuff, you know, and just interviewing myself. And anyways, so here we are now. The wonderful thing about music is that you can't see it, but you can definitely feel it. And much like emotions, beautiful emotions, love or joy or excitement, you can't necessarily see it, but you can definitely feel it. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, because think of all the things that you can't really see that you can definitely feel, or maybe we don't understand quite yet. Like, 71% of the earth is covered in water. About 95% of that is oceans. About 5% of that really has been explored. The rest of that is deep outer space. It's as mysterious as out there. And we can't necessarily see or understand what it is or where it is, but we know something's there. There has to be. There's life everywhere. And then I think about how music actually vibrations. If you were to drop a penny in a kiddie pool right here, right in the center, the vibrations of the water would extend out to the walls of the pool, and then they would bounce back, and then they would kind of reverberate with one another, and that's kind of how people are. So when we go to shows or when I perform at a concert, I often think of that. Because if I'm giving out my energy to you guys, and you guys are putting out energy out there, now we're talking synergy. Now we're talking something very powerful aside from music. And that's where the magic lives. It's in this invisible, what can you call it? Energy, right? I started thinking about this a little bit more too. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with somatics, but I don't know if everybody is, but somatics is where they did a study with the molecules of water with sine tones and sine waves. And with the tones, you know, they'd start from very low to very high, you know. And it creates this amazing, beautiful, fractaled art out of water, out of molecules. If you consider that as humans, we're anywhere from, I think it's like 45 to 65% water, depending on your age, who you are, man or woman. Babies are about 75% when they're born with water. Then you realize that music and sound is so important to everyone and everything. And even further, for some reason this morning I was kind of just Googling some things to kind of bring up that were interesting about sound waves, and I thought to myself, 3.6 billion light years. And I Googled it, and amazingly enough, there's a galaxy 3.6 billion light years away that has been sending these fast bursts of radio waves. And this is kind of strange, for one, because I don't know why I thought 3.6 billion light years. But also that these radio waves have traveled through space to be picked up and detected by scientists here. Now, if you're thinking about it, there's water in the air, obviously. And as you go further up higher, the droplets and, you know, they turn to clouds and everything. So we're thinking about there's water everywhere, and there's sound everywhere, and there's this whole beautiful repercussive thing that's happening with energy. So now I want to get down to the Henry Invisible part. I think that we have a lot to do with the world of the way it's going to go forever in the future and ever, as we know, as history shows, that we definitely can make things happen positively. You got two choices, right? We have negativity and positivity. Positivity is such a strong vibe that we can actually, right now, right here, create such a vibration that people will feel it everywhere else. And I'm sure you guys are very pleasant people because you're creatives. You're Austin creatives, and I'm sure you guys, walk into HEB and you smile and people smile at you, right? I lived in New York where smiling wasn't that cool. And I'd be, hey, how's it going? People would be like, what are you smiling at? But I made a lot of friends there too. But my point is that we've got to do more with our vibrations. We have to raise our frequency higher. We have to raise that invisible that's not seen, but certainly felt. And I choose to do it through music, musicians like y'all. That was beautiful. And you guys are amazing for doing it for each whatever you guys do, arts, I don't know, dance. Who dances out here? I don't know. Yeah, I think we all dance, but so what I've come to realize though is that the importance of arts in the world and how we can translate the music and energy into something more positive into this world. And I think that those things are invisible. And I used to think that just the things like being afraid to go out or not being afraid to show my true colors or whatnot was being invisible. But I think it's more powerful than that. I think it's certainly everything I just talked about and a lot more that we don't know. So the last bit I want to talk about is just when talking about space, which, by the way, if you've ever seen my show before, I do this one bit where I get under a cloak, like a silver cloak, and I come out with this alien puppet head. And the song's called Only Human, and it's basically telling the humans, chill out, You guys are going a little bit, a little hot. You're only human, all right? Don't overreact about things. Calm down just a little bit. Don't worry, the mothership is here, right? So, but when I talk about space, I like to think that deep down in our cells, it looks just like the universe. And for a brief second, if you could just think about the universe and the multiverse, and that it doesn't really end, and nobody knows for sure. There are theories, but really, who would know, right? We don't have telescopes that can figure that out. The minds have figured out that it must be growing and constantly growing, but where does it end exactly? And I think maybe it doesn't. And so, with that, just remember that we are all invisible. Every one of us. From out there to here, we're visible now, we can see each other, but we're invisible to something else, to someone else, to another energy. And after this life goes, there's more to see. And I am not preaching reincarnation or religion in any form or fashion. I just really truly believe that you can't crush energy. And I think with that being said, there's a sense of calmness that I can really appreciate in this life. And so that's what I try to translate in my music, and I am Henry Invisible. Yeah. Thank you so much, your kind audience. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing your energy, your good vibrations to us.
You got it.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Keep it.
Do we want Henry to play a song? We don't want That was an easy one.
All right. I just wanted to leave you with this. Because this is a song of resilience. And I want to tell you a little bit about the story. The first verse is about getting mugged in New York City. On New Year's Eve, I got the L beat out of me by 4 people. They didn't take my money, though, because it was hidden in a secret pocket in my jacket. So, New Yorkers. The second verse is about just a bad relationship, right? Everybody's had one of those, right? And the last verse is about me riding my bike down Avenue B and all the lights were turning green, and then I got hit by a car. All true stories. But the song is called Keep On Keepin' On. And I hope you guys can hear this. So there's 2 parts to this, but I'll do my best, okay?
Keep on
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Bad voices talking to me. I wanna be free from the mind that I'm living inside. Bad voices talking to me. I wanna be free from the mind that I'm living inside. Free from the mind, free from the mind, free from the mind that I'm living inside. Free from the mind, free from my mind, free from the mind that I'm living inside. I wanna be free from the mind that I'm living inside. I wanna be free from the mind. I'm already corrupted. Feels like I've been abducted in one way or another. I'll never question my mother. Earth is what I'm talking about. It's what I'm talking about. Connection, it's the only way out. It's the only way to be free from the mind. Free from the mind, free from the mind that I'm living inside. Free from the mind, free from my mind, free from the mind that I'm living inside. I wanna be free from the mind that I'm living inside. I wanna be free. Destroy all those thoughts that I'm not good enough, I'm God. Enough of all of the lies. They've been taking all of my time. Earth is what I'm talking about. Is what I'm talking about. Connection, it's the only way out. It's the only way to be now. Free from the mind, free from the mind, free from the mind that I'm living in.